Hey everyone, welcome back to your daily dose of English. I'm Tom, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sara. How are you doing today, Sara?
I'm doing great, Tom. Although, I have to say, I had quite the adventure this week. My kitchen sink decided to turn into a fountain at 2 a.m. Water! Everywhere! I was standing there in my pyjamas, completely panicking, trying to remember the English word for that thing under the sink. You know, the pipe thingy?
Oh no, let me guess. You meant the U-bend or the P-trap. See, this is exactly why today's episode is so important, folks. We're talking about something that every one of us will face at some point, calling a plumber or an electrician. And let me tell you, when your house is flooding or your lights are sparking, that's not the time to be flipping through your English dictionary.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Even if your English is pretty good in normal situations, suddenly you're on the phone trying to describe water gushing out of pipes or explaining that weird buzzing sound coming from your electrical outlet, and your mind just goes blank. So today, we're going to give you all the vocabulary, phrases, and confidence you need to handle these situations like a pro.
Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button if you find this helpful, and drop a comment telling us what country you're watching from. We love seeing our global community. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We've got your daily dose of practical English right here. Now, Sara, let's start with the basics. How do you even know when you need to call a professional?
Great question. So first things first, not every little problem needs a professional. If you just need to change a light bulb or tighten a leaky faucet, you can probably handle that yourself. But here's when you absolutely need to call someone. If you see water pooling on your floor, if you smell gas, if your electrical outlets are hot to the touch, or if you hear strange noises coming from your pipes or electrical panel. These are serious situations that need professional help immediately.
And let's talk about the difference between a plumber and an electrician, because our listeners might not be familiar with these terms. A plumber deals with anything related to water. Your sinks, toilets, showers, water heaters, pipes and drainage systems. The word comes from the Latin word for lead, plumbum, because pipes used to be made of lead. An electrician, on the other hand, handles everything electrical. Your wiring, outlets, circuit breakers, light fixtures, and anything that uses electricity in your home.
Perfect explanation. Now, let's get into the really practical stuff. Describing your problem when you call. This is where people often struggle because you need to be specific, but you might not know all the technical terms. Here's my advice. Start with the location and the basic problem. For example, I have a leak in my bathroom sink, or the lights in my living room aren't working. Simple and clear.
Absolutely. And here are some super useful phrases you'll want to memorise. For plumbing issues, you might say, my toilet is overflowing. There's no hot water. My drain is clogged. I hear a dripping sound in the walls. Or my water pressure is very low. Notice how we're being specific about what's actually happening, not just saying something is wrong.
And for electrical problems, try these. My circuit breaker keeps tripping. The outlet isn't working. The lights are flickering. I smell something burning near the electrical panel. Or half of my house has no power. Now, here's a pro tip. If you smell burning or see sparks, make sure to say, "This is an emergency," right at the beginning of your call. That word emergency will get you faster service.
Great tip. Now let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people: understanding quotes and prices. When you call a plumber or electrician, they'll usually ask you some questions about the problem, and then they'll give you what's called a quote or an estimate. These words mean basically the same thing. It's their prediction of how much the job will cost.
Right, and here's something really important to understand. There's a difference between a quote and a ballpark figure. A quote is usually more accurate and sometimes can be binding, meaning that's the actual price you'll pay. A ballpark figure is just a rough estimate, like saying somewhere in the neighborhood of $200. The actual price might be higher or lower.
Exactly. And you'll want to ask specific questions about pricing. Here are the key questions. Do you charge a call-out fee? That's a fee just for coming to your house, even before they start work. What's your hourly rate? Most professionals charge by the hour, plus materials. Is there a minimum charge? Some have a minimum fee, even if the job takes just 10 minutes. And very importantly, are parts and materials included in the quote, or are those extra?
Those are crucial questions. And don't be shy about asking for a breakdown. You can say, could you break down the costs for me? Or, what exactly is included in that price? A reputable professional won't mind explaining. Also, ask if they offer any warranties on their work. A good question is, do you guarantee your work? Or, what happens if the problem comes back?
Now here's something that catches people off guard. Sometimes the price on the phone and the final bill are different. Why? Because once the plumber or electrician gets there and actually sees the problem, they might discover it's more complicated than they thought. Maybe there's hidden damage, or they need more expensive parts than expected. This is totally normal. But they should tell you before they start the more expensive work.
Exactly. And you have every right to ask, before you start, can you let me know if the price is going to change? Or please tell me if you find anything else wrong before you fix it. You're the customer, and no one should do extra work without your permission. If the new price is way higher than expected, you can even say, let me think about it and get another quote. That's perfectly acceptable.
Good advice. All right, let's move on to scheduling appointments. This is actually easier than many people think. When you call, they'll usually ask, when would be a good time for you? Or, what day works best for you? You can answer with specific days. I'm available Tuesday afternoon, or any morning next week would work for me.
And here's some useful vocabulary for scheduling. I need it as soon as possible means you want the earliest available appointment. It's not urgent means you can wait. I can be flexible means you can adjust your schedule to fit theirs. And if you work during the day, you might ask, do you have any evening or weekend appointments? Many professionals charge extra for after-hours service, so be prepared for that.
Great point. Now, they'll often give you a time window rather than a specific time. They might say, we can come between 1 and 4 p.m. This is normal because their previous job might run longer than expected. If you need them to call before they come, ask, could you give me a call about 30 minutes before you arrive? Most will happily do this.
And here's something important. Get everything in writing if possible. After you talk on the phone, ask, can you send me a confirmation email with the appointment time and the estimate? Or could you text me to confirm? This protects both of you and prevents misunderstandings. If they can't do email, at least write down the appointment details yourself, including the person's name you spoke with, the date, time, and the quoted price.
Excellent advice. Now, when the plumber or electrician arrives, here are some phrases you'll need. First, greet them professionally. Thanks for coming so quickly, or I really appreciate you fitting me in today. Then show them the problem. Let me show you where the problem is, or it's right this way. Don't just point, actually walk them to the location, because sometimes the issue isn't where you think it is.
And while they're working, you might hear them use some technical terms. Don't pretend you understand if you don't. It's perfectly fine to say, "Could you explain that in simpler terms?" Or, "What exactly does that mean?" A good professional will be happy to explain. They might say things like, "I need to replace the wax ring," or "Your GFCI outlet needs upgrading, and you should understand what you're paying for."
Absolutely. And here's a question you should always ask. What caused this problem? Understanding the cause can help you prevent it in the future. Maybe you've been putting the wrong things down your drain, or maybe your electrical system is just old and needs updating. This information is valuable. You can also ask, is there anything I should do to prevent this from happening again?
Such good advice. Now let's talk about confirming the work is done properly. This is super important because you want to make sure everything is actually fixed before the professional leaves. First, ask them to show you what they did. You can say, "Could you show me what you repaired?" Or, "Can you walk me through what you fixed?" They should be willing to explain their work.
And test everything before they leave. If it was a plumbing issue, run the water, flush the toilet, check for leaks. If it was electrical, turn the lights on and off. Test the outlets. Make sure everything works. Don't be embarrassed to do this while they're still there. You can say, "Do you mind if I test it quickly?" No good professional will be offended. In fact, they'll appreciate that you're being thorough.
Exactly. And if something doesn't seem right, speak up immediately. Don't wait until after they leave. Say something like, "I'm still seeing some water dripping here," or "This light is still flickering a bit." It's much easier to fix it while they're there than to call them back. And if they need to come back because the problem persists, ask, "Will there be a charge for a return visit?" Many professionals offer a warranty period where return visits are free.
Great point. Now let's talk about payment and receipts. Before you pay, ask for an itemised invoice. That means a detailed breakdown showing labour charges, parts costs, and any other fees. You can say, "Could I get an itemised receipt?" This is important for your records, for insurance claims, or if you need to dispute anything later. Most professionals will automatically provide this, but don't be afraid to ask.
And speaking of payment, ask about payment methods before they arrive. Some only take cash or checks, while others accept credit cards. You might ask on the phone, "What payment methods do you accept?" Also, never pay the full amount up front for a big job unless you're absolutely sure about the company's reputation. For major work, it's common to pay a deposit, then the rest when the job is completed satisfactorily.
Here's another important tip. Keep all your receipts and documentation. Create a home maintenance folder, either physical or digital, where you store all receipts, warranties, and notes about work done on your home. Write the date, the problem, what was fixed, and how much it cost. This history can be incredibly valuable if you sell your house, if a problem recurs, or if you need to file an insurance claim.
Such practical advice. Now, let's quickly cover some red flags. Warning signs that maybe you shouldn't hire this particular professional. First, if they can't or won't give you a quote before starting work, that's a problem. Second, if they pressure you to make an immediate decision or use scare tactics like your house could burn down tonight, be very cautious. Third, if they ask for full payment upfront for a large job, that's suspicious. And finally, if they're not licensed or insured, walk away. Always ask, are you licensed and insured? This protects you if something goes wrong.
Those are crucial warnings. And on the flip side, here are signs of a good professional. They arrive on time or call if they're running late. They're polite and professional. They protect your floors with drop cloths or shoe covers. They clean up after themselves. They answer your questions patiently, and they provide clear documentation. These might seem like small things, but they show professionalism and respect for you and your home.
Absolutely. And one more thing. Don't be afraid to get multiple quotes for big jobs. If someone says you need a $3,000 repair, it's smart to call 2 or 3 other professionals to see if they agree. You can say on the phone, I'm getting multiple quotes for this work. That's completely normal and expected for expensive repairs. Just make sure everyone is quoting on fixing the same problem in the same way, so you're comparing apples to apples.
Perfect. Before we wrap up, let's do a quick role play to put all this together. Sarah, pretend you're calling me and I'm a plumber. Let's practice a typical conversation. Go ahead.
Okay, ring ring. Hello, is this Tom's plumbing service? Hi, my name is Sara, and I'm calling because I have a leak under my kitchen sink. Water is dripping steadily and there's a small puddle on the floor. Can you help me with this?
Great opening. You stated the location, the problem, and the severity. Now let me respond as the plumber. Absolutely, I can help you with that. It sounds like it might be a loose connection or a worn-out washer. Are you able to turn off the water valve under the sink to stop the leak temporarily?
Oh, I'm not sure where that is. Could you explain where to find it?
Perfect question. Now, in a real situation, I'd explain that. Then I'd say I can come out this afternoon between 2 and 5 p.m. My call-out fee is $75, and depending on what needs replacing, the total would probably be between $150 and $250. Does that work for you?
Yes, that works. Can you call me about 30 minutes before you arrive? And just to confirm, the $150 to $250 includes parts and labour.
Excellent. You confirmed the price scope and asked about notification. And folks, notice how Sara was specific about the problem. Asked clarifying questions, confirmed the details, and wasn't afraid to ask about what's included. That's exactly how you should handle these calls.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways. First, be specific when describing your problem. Location. What's happening? How urgent it is. Second, don't be shy about asking questions about pricing, including call-out fees, hourly rates, and what's included. Third, get everything in writing and keep good records. Fourth, test the work before the professional leaves. And finally, trust your instincts. If something feels off, get a second opinion.
Perfectly summarised. Remember, dealing with home repairs is a normal part of life, and there's no shame in needing help or asking questions. The professionals are there to help you, and good ones will appreciate customers who communicate clearly and ask smart questions. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be clear enough to get the job done safely and correctly.
Before we go, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us, what country are you watching from, and have you ever had to call a plumber or electrician in English? How did it go? Your experiences help other learners, so please share. And if you found this episode helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to your daily dose of English for more practical lessons like this one.
Thanks so much for spending time with us today, everyone. Remember, every conversation is practice, and every challenge is an opportunity to improve your English. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep being awesome.
See you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.